Hello viewers, this is Shahrir Mahmood from Department of Economics, Shahjalan University of Science and Technology, Sylhet. Today I'm going to discuss about measurability, comparability and invariance. So without any further delay, let's get started. A very careful look at each requirement of Arrow's impossibility theorem should be impressed with individuals' responsibleness and its collective economy. There have been various attempts to rescue social welfare analysis from the grip of Arrow's theorem. One has been to relax the requirements that must be satisfied by the social relation R. So we can say social welfare function is measurable on cardinal as well as ordinal scale. Cardinal scale is measurable by observation and judgment, which is based on marginal utility analysis. On the other hand, the ordinal scale ranks commodity bundles, which are based on indifference curve analysis. Ordering is failed because of comparability and majority voting is failed and because of transitivity. So in the next slide, we'll see some statements that is under ordinal scale, including full comparability under cardinal scale, including incrementally comparable. So at first, under ordinal scale, there we can see person I is better off in state X than in state Y. Including full comparability states that person I is better off in state X than J in state Y. Under cardinal scale says person I is made better off by a more from state X to state Y. And the last one, person I is made better off by a more than person J from state X to state Y, which is including incrementally comparable IC. So in the next slide, we can see utility level invariant says that a social welfare function is utility level invariant if it doesn't change despite adjustment to individuals' utility functions. It focuses solely on the order of preferences, not the specific numerical values. However, in situations with two individuals, additional information beyond ordinal preferences may be crucial. If utility numbers convey more than just rankings, the function may not remain invariant. To maintain this invariance, transformations must be strictly increasing and uniform across individuals, offering flexibility while avoiding impossibility outcomes. Now we'll talk about utility difference invariant. In this slide, we see utility differences invariance in social welfare functions means that the function remains unchanged while individuals' utility functions are transformed in strictly increasing manner. It focuses on comparing utility differences across individuals rather than absolute levels. This approach enables evaluating social choices by considering individual gains and losses at social stage changes. Now we'll talk about two more ethical assumptions on the social welfare function, which is anonymity, that refers to in the social welfare function means treating individuals symmetrically where the rankings of social states depend solely on welfare levels, not individual identities. The condition we can see here and implication is ensures fairness by disregarding individual identities and focusing only on welfare levels. It says the condition of anonymity simply says people should be treated symmetrically. Under A, the ranking of the social state should not be depend on the identity of the individuals involved, only the levels of welfare involved. In the next, we'll talk about Hammond equity, which says that Hammond equity is society's preference for narrowing the gap between the welfare of the least and most well-off individuals. And its implication is that guides policy decisions towards reducing inequality and promoting a more equitable distribution of resources. Actually, it expresses the idea that society has a preference towards decreasing the dispersion of utility across individuals. Now we'll talk about forms of social welfare function, which is Rawlsian social welfare function. utilitarian social welfare function, and flexible forms of social welfare function. In the Rawlsian social welfare function, it is proposed by Rawls in 1971. The welfare of society's worst of member guides the social decision making. We can see a graph here that says that the argument begins by supporting that W is continuous, strictly increasing function satisfying certain conditions. The goal is to demonstrate that W can be represented as the minimum of a set of functions. To illustrate this, the author considers a point A on the 45-degree line and examines the infinity ray extending from A to the right. Along this ray, every point is socially indifferent to A according to W. By partitioning the space into two regions, which is region 1 and region 2, it is shown that the social utility of every point in region 1 is at least as high as W, while every point in region 2 has the lower social utility than W over. This is due to the strictly increasing nature of W. By the continuity of W, it is concluded that every point on the infinite ray is socially indifferent to A, thus W A equal to W over. This implies that every point on the ray receives the same social utility as A, confirming the initial assertion. In the next slide, we can see utilitarian social welfare functions that define strictly increasing and continuous social welfare functions. W satisfies A and utility difference invariance if and only if it can take the utilitarian form. Here we can see a graph which illustrates utilitarian social welfare function which aggregates individual utilities to determine overall social welfare. The x-axis denotes the total utility of well-being of society, while the y-axis represents the distribution of resources of income among individuals. The curve illustrates how societal welfare changes as the distribution of social varies. Typically, the curve is upward sloping, indicating that societal welfare increases as the total utility of society rises. So guys, we have reached to the conclusion of today's discussion. That is flexible social welfare function, which is divided into three parts: at Rawlsian, prioritarian, and egalitarian. So at first, Rawlsian social welfare function prioritizes the welfare of the least advantageous members of society, ensuring that improvements benefit those who are worst off. And in the second, that gives greater weight to the welfare of those who are worst off, but not to the extent of Rawlsian principles. It balances concern for the worst off consideration of overall welfare maximization. In the third, there is egalitarian social welfare function that aims to achieve the most equal distribution of welfare possible among individuals, prioritizing fairness and equity in the distribution of resources. So that's implication says that significant effects on social justice, income equality, and overall societal well-being. So at last, the choice of social welfare function can have significant implication for societal justice, income inequality, and overall societal well-being. That's all from today. I will try to bring more macroeconomic topic in my next videos. Till then, stay safe, stay happy. Thank you everyone. Assalamu alaikum.